to the official Temple University Football Coaches Show with Gelb and Chase on Philly's #1 college radio station, WHIP.
We're back here, Philly's #1 college radio station, WHIP. 215-204-9449 is the number if you want to call and hang with us. Temple's back in action on Saturday at 12 o'clock. WHIP will have their coverage in Piscataway for Rutgers and Temple starting at 11:30. So let's go out to Edberg Olson Hall right now and welcome in the Temple University defensive line coach, and that's Brandon Noble. Coach, it's Zach Gelb and Chase Sr. How are you on this Thursday?
I'm doing great, man. Just getting ready to go. Things are winding down, and we're getting ready for our last minute, kind of tests and doing all that stuff and watching film and the mental work now as we get ready for Saturday.
Well, it is Halloween, so let's have a little fun right before we get to the football talk, and we'll talk about your defensive line and what the defense is trying to do on Saturday. But what was your favorite costume on Halloween growing up as a kid?
Growing up, man, that's a long time ago. I wore those old cheap ones, you know what I mean, like the old, like the $3 ones with just like a trash bag that was painted in some sort of crazy looking mask, But I recently, I think I dressed up as Mr. T. I was a pretty good Mr. T. I liked that one. It's fun. I got 3 kids. I love Halloween. It always takes 2 or 3 shots to figure out what costume the kids are going to be. But my little ones are excited tonight. I know there's going to be a lot of candy in the Noble house for me to steal, and so I'm excited about that too.
Well, what's the rule of thumb in the Noble household? If your kids and yourself are going trick-or-treating and you see one of those bowls that say only take one, I know my co-host Chase Sr. would probably take the whole bowl, but do you take all the candy, or are you a nice guy and only take one?
I do my best to make sure that, my kids only take one, and sometimes I may take 2 or 3. It depends. If it's the good stuff, I might take 1 or 2. But, try and keep the kids in line, and then, proper Halloween etiquette, because there's going to be other kids coming behind them, and, you don't want to be greedy. But you see it happen. I mean, I've done it before. We've left the bowl out, and you come back, and it's empty, and it's only like 8 o'clock. So somebody just dumped the whole bowl in the bag.
Brandon Noble joins us on the hotline, Philly's #1 college radio station, WHIP. This is the Temple University official football coaches show with Gelb and Chase. And, Coach, your defensive line, they've had some problems generating a consistent pressure throughout the season. They've also done some great things on some goal line stands and stuff in the run. But how would you rate your unit so far through the first 8 games of the season?
I'm not happy with our results, but I'm happy with, I feel good about the direction we're going. It's obviously, we want to get pressure on the quarterbacks. We want to get sacks. We're playing some young guys that are learning how to do it. It's hard. Rushing the passers is a difficult thing. That's why they pay those guys in the NFL so much money. You may rush the passer in the NFL, 600 times. And you could get 10 sacks, and you're an all-pro, right? If you're playing baseball and you only hit the ball 10 times out of 600 at-bats, you're not playing baseball very long. It's a difficult thing to do, but we have to get better at it. I think the kids have bought in. They're going in the right direction. Hopefully we can put it together this week. I do like we played some great, red zone and goal line defense. The kids are, they can be physical at times. Like I said, I'm obviously not happy with the results, but I'm pleased with the direction that we're going.
What's going on, Coach? It's Chase Sr. Thanks for joining the show. Nate D. Smith, throughout spring camp and in training camp, was with the second-team defense as a linebacker, and then throughout a couple of games in the season, he moved to defensive line and has got some consistent reps there. When I look at his body type, it looks like he almost figures better to be a defensive end. He's got decent speed around the corner, and he's got that big size. What have you seen from Nate D. that has impressed you on the defensive line?
Well, Nate's kind of he's a football player. The kid loves to play football, and he's got a great motor. He's like the Energizer Bunny. He just keeps going and going and going, and he's having fun. And as a D lineman, that's sometimes the biggest part is what's your motor like? Are you willing to... Can you keep playing it when it's snap 75 the way that you played when it was snap 1? And rushing the passer is definitely like that. So Nate brings a lot of energy, he does have some speed. He's very physical. He's not really tall, but he's thick. He's a 235, 240-pound kid built in a low frame. And so some of those bigger tackles have a tough time getting their hands on him because he's already low. He has the ability to turn the corner at a good angle. So his pads are down. He can bend, and he does. But again, I think the biggest thing is Nate likes to play football, and Nate loves to rush. He just gets after it. loves to be out there running around. And that's why I think he's done a good job there. He does generate some pressure because he just doesn't stop rushing.
Going into that season opener against Notre Dame, there was some experience on the defensive line, but a couple of games into the season up until now, we've started to see a lot of young guys get some burn on the defensive line. What have you seen from some of those young guys? Because I know they really haven't been able to generate a lot of sacks, but at the same time, they're getting useful experience earlier on in their career that could pay dividends down the road.
Yeah, I mean, it can be painful to go through now, but it is. It's something that, next year you can say, all right, Matt Ioannidis and Shabazz Ahmed and Brian Osei and Hershey Walton, and those guys are all getting a lot of reps right now. And they're getting a chance to play football, Brandon Chudnow. So those young guys, like I said, they're learning. They're playing some of their first college football, their first meaningful college football. And it's not an easy thing to do. They're playing against guys that are 22 years old, that are fifth-year seniors. You go out to Notre Dame, and that O-line was a veteran group. And this week, we're going to play a veteran group. So it's good because they're getting experience, but it can be painful when you're going through it initially. So, they've got some good work. Guys like Levi Brown and Kamal have done a good job, kind of mentoring them and pushing them and teaching them how to study and how to prep and those kinds of things. So, we've got a good mix. Like I said, we just need better results.
Rutgers, when you see them, this is a football team that they've been struggling so far this season, but they're still at 4-3, and their quarterback in Gary Nova has thrown 7 interceptions in the last 2 games, and that's opened up a QB controversy there in Piscataway. And you don't know if you're going to face Nova or Dodd coming up on Saturday. How difficult is that to prepare for 2 quarterbacks, not knowing which one's going to go?
Well, I mean, from a coaching perspective, it's difficult. You got to understand what guys do well, what they don't do well. Are they going to do something different depending on who's under center? Because a lot of teams will. Each guy has his own skill set. As far as from a player's perspective, my guys have to go out and we have to generate pressure. But we have to figure out a way to stop the run, be solid in the run game, and then get after these quarterbacks, whoever it is back there. We're going to rush the passer the same way. Those 5 guys in front, they're going to be the same 5 guys. So that's who we have to be. For the guys that are going to go play, it's about doing their job and beating their guy, winning their one-on-one, and then getting to the quarterback. But for us as coaches, then you say, all right, well, what are they going to do different if Todd's there? What are they going to do if Nova's there? So that's where the tough part is now it's us guys sitting in the film room saying, all right, what are we going to get that's going to be different depending on who's in the game.
Justin Goodwin, a freshman running back for Rutgers, has taken the place of their starter and done a pretty good job considering he doesn't have much experience. What have you seen from him on tape that has kind of caught your eye because he's got pretty good speed and got some size to him as well?
Well, he's one of those guys that runs through contact. When you hit him the first time, you better bring it because he's going to keep going. He's not afraid of it. He's not going to try and run out of bounds. He's going to try and get those extra yards. I'm really impressed with him. I think that Rutgers has some very good skilled position players. They're receivers. They do a great job downfield. They'll come in and they'll block. They'll crack safeties. They'll come down inside. They're big targets, and I think their running game is very good. They've got a tough fullback that leads it up in there. They've got a good O-line, and their skill position guys are very, very dangerous.
Brandon Noble joins us, and Coach, a few more questions right before we let you run. On the other side of the ball, the offense is starting to get some consistency. They put up 49 points in a loss last week to SMU, and they once had a 21-0 lead. And this has been a unit that has thrived under P.J. Walker. They've been going downfield more. Robbie Anderson's having a career game each and every week. How much does a consistent and a productive offense help your defense in getting some rest on the sidelines?
Oh, it's great. I mean, that's what you want. You want points scored, and especially as a D lineman, because if we get that lead, that's where we have to take advantage of it and go rush the passer. You look at the Colts for all those years with Peyton Manning, and they always had a lead, and they always had a great D line. They got after quarterbacks, and that's what we want. What it does, it gives you a chance as a defense to go sit down, catch your breath, make adjustments as a staff, and then give it to the players. So it's really big. I think that those guys on the other side of the ball are doing a really good job. PJ's really stepped into it, and he's a good quarterback. He loves to play football. He loves being on the field. So it's fun to watch too. I enjoy watching him run around out there and throw the football. But it is nice. They scored a lot of points, and then we've got to do a better job this week of matching that type of run.
going back to that SMU game, that was a game that you once led by 21 points, and Gilbert came out in the second half, and he just really excelled in that game. What adjustments did SMU make on your football team in that second half last week?
Well, one thing they did is they came out, I felt like in the first half we were generating about as much pressure as we have all year. We were getting back there. We were making him uncomfortable. We weren't sacking him, but we were hitting him. We were moving him in the pocket. They came out in the second half. The ball started coming out quicker. They went into empty, threw the ball. Like I said, instead of being, 3 second, in the pocket, it was, 2.5, or the ball was out real quick. And so we didn't do a good enough job as a defensive line of generating pressure. Their line came out and did a good job. And that was really the adjustment. To me, it was the ball came out quicker. They went to empty. They added a couple quarterback runs, and then they got rolling. And we knew going into that game that they had the ability to score points like that. You watched them do it, I think, against Rutgers the week before, or 2 weeks before. And so we knew it, and then unfortunately we just weren't able to answer the bell as a defense and get them stopped.
Brandon, I saw you spend some time as an assistant at Westchester University. That's actually my hometown. My buddy leads D1 or D2 rather in all-purpose yards. But during your college career, you actually were teammates with Matt Rule. When you guys went your separate ways, did you keep in touch, and that's ultimately the reason why you came back to Temple?
Well, what it was, everybody scatters, and does their own thing. And he was in coaching, and I was playing professional football. And then when I got into coaching, and I was at Westchester, he was here at Temple, and we actually bumped into each other once or twice, and we'd see each other at a coaching convention. And that is kind of how it happened. When he got the job, and there's an opportunity for me to basically. I was at Coastal Carolina in Myrtle Beach for a year. My wife is originally from Delaware County. She's from Philadelphia. So to come back, we had lived here for 6 years after I retired from the NFL, and come back and work for an old college teammate, in my wife's hometown and the place that my family considers home, was great.
Final one here with Coach Noble right before we let him go. And, Coach, Rutgers Temple, they're going to move their way from this conference as Rutgers go into the Big Ten. But you played at Penn State. You know what it's like to have a big football program, and that's what Temple's trying to build here. I know Rutgers and Temple, they agreed to play each other 4 times starting at the year of 2020. Just because of the proximity of these two schools, can you see this turning into a big football rivalry between the Scarlet Knights and the Owls?
Yeah, it should, because of the location, because we recruit against each other, because of, we have so many kids from New Jersey here, and they have kids from Pennsylvania there. It should be, it's a great, regional geographical matchup. We should turn it into a rivalry, but we've got to do our part and get after that. I'm sorry, hold on. Well, I apologize. Somebody was standing at my door banging on it.
No problem.
It's something that we need to get back into. Again, we're going out and playing a great game this weekend, and then hopefully, the next time we get to play them, we've made some steps in the right direction.
Well, Coach, we appreciate the time today. Enjoy the Snickers, the Milky Ways, everything tonight with your kids for Halloween, and let's see a victory on Saturday. We'll talk to you real soon.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Coach.
Coach Brandon Noble right there, Philly's #1 college radio station, WHIP. We'll take a quick break, and we'll be back with some Sixers talk right after these short messages.